I'm gonna be doing the algebra final quiz for 6.2. First question. 6.2 is about arithmetic progressions. So an arithmetic progression is like a list of numbers, and they increase by the same amount every time. So like, for example, you have let's say the first number is 9. The second number is 14, for example. The third number is 19. The fourth number is 24. One thing common about each number is they increase by the same amount each time. They increase by 5 every single time. So the amount that they increase by every time is called the common difference, okay? The reason it's called the common difference is because the way we find the amount that they increase by every time, is by subtracting each number by the number before it, the same way we check for linear functions. So if I didn't know what the common difference was, if I didn't know that it was 5, how would I find it? I would subtract any number by the number before it, but it has to be the number directly before it. It can't be just like I can't minus 24 minus 9. No, I can only do 24 minus 19. 24 minus 19 is 5, so the common difference is 5. 14 minus 9 is also 5, so the common difference of this sequence is 5. So that's what an arithmetic progression is. Now, in an arithmetic progression, we have this thing called A1, A2, whatever. These are the positions of the numbers, okay? So back to the example I gave you, 9 is the first number, so 9 is A1, okay? This number over here, the small number, we call it n, okay? This number, n, is the position of the term, okay? So A1 means first term, because 9 is the first number in the progression. 14 is the second number, so 14 is A2. 19 is the third number, so 19 is A3, and so on. So there's an equation to find the number of any term. Like, for example, here they're asking for A9. The equation is AN equals A1 plus n minus 1 times d, okay? D is the difference, okay? D is the common difference. N is the position of the term. So if we're looking for an, what the number in an is, n would be 9. A1 is the first term in the sequence, and an is like the name of the number, like the position of the number. So they want us to find the number in the position A9, okay? So A9 is equal to A1. They told us first term is negative 15, plus n, which is over here, which is here, 9, minus 1 times the common difference, which is 6. So negative 15 plus 8 times 6, which is negative 15 plus 48, which is equal to 33. So A9 is 33. Now they want the value of A101. So same way. A101 is equal to A1, which is negative 15, plus n, which is 101, minus 1 times d, which is 6. So negative 15 plus 100 times 6 equal to negative 15 plus 600, which is 585. So A101 is 585. Now question 2. It wants the common difference, okay? Here they gave us the sequence itself. They gave us the series of numbers itself. So to find the difference, like I said, just subtract any number by the number right before it. So we can just do negative 1 minus negative 6, which is negative 1 plus 6, which is 5. So the common difference is 5. And when it's an arithmetic progression, it's always gonna have the same common difference. So any number with if you subtract by a number before it, you're gonna get the same answer if it's an arithmetic progression. So the common difference is 5. You can also check with other numbers too. Now they want the value of the sum. To find the sum or the value of a series, there's an equation for it also. The sum is equal to n over 2 times 2 times a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay? Hella, d is the common difference. N is the number of terms, like the total number. When I say number of terms, I mean like this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, okay? The n that we're talking about here, the total number of terms, would be the position of the last number. So if this was the 10th number, this would be a 10, and the n would be 10. If this was the 20th number, its last number, which means there's 20 terms, n would be 20. So in this case, we don't know what the position of 239 is. We don't know how many. It could be the 10th number, it could be the 20th, it could be the 100th. We don't know because they put dot dot dot. We can't count how many numbers there are. So to find n, we use the equation from before, which is an equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Hala, what do we put in place of an? I just said we don't have n. We know that 239 is the last number, okay? We know that the last number is the n of the last number is going to be the total number of terms. If this is the 10th number, this would be a10, which would tell us that there's 10 terms. Now, we don't know what 239 is. We don't know the position of it. We don't know its n. But we do know that it's equal to 239. So we can replace an with 239 to get n, okay? And when we get n, we'll know that n is the total number of terms because we replaced it with the last number. So 239 is equal to a1, which is the first term, negative 6, plus n, which we're trying to find, minus 1 times d, which is the common difference, which we found in part A is 5. So 239 equals negative 6 plus, spread the 5 out into the brackets, 5n minus 5. 239 is equal to negative 5 plus negative 6 is negative 11, so 5n minus 11, bring 11 to the other side, becomes 239 plus 11, which is 250, equals 5n, n is equal to 50, okay? So the position of 239 is 50, a50, which means that because 239 is the last number, there are 50 terms in this series. So to find the sum, we need the total number of terms, which we found it's 50, over 2 times a, which is negative 6, plus n, which 50, minus 1 times the difference, which we found in part A, it's 5. You can't type it straight up like this into the calculator. It will give you error because there's a lot of there's division here, multiplication here, adding. The calculator is not going to know what order to do everything in. So it's better to just do the multiplication and then add it all at the end. So 50 over 2 is 25 times 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 plus 50 minus 1 is 49. 49 times 5 is 245. So 25 times negative 12 plus 245, which is 233. And then 233 times 25 is 5,825. So that's how you find the sum or the value. Okay, here they want us to find the common difference, okay? But they didn't give us two consecutive terms. Consecutive means after each other. They didn't give us two terms that are after each other. They gave us the third term, a3. They told us it was negative 4, and they gave us the seventh term, 4. Hella, we can't just subtract these numbers together to get the difference because they're not directly after each other. so when you have two numbers that are far away from each other, that aren't directly after each other, we use a different equation, which is am minus an equals m minus n times d. So these two numbers, their positions are far away from each other, so we can't just subtract them to get the difference. So instead we put them into this equation. It doesn't matter which way it goes in. It could be a3 minus a7, it could be a7 minus a3. It does not matter as long as the order that you choose here is the same as the order that you choose here. So let's say we did a3 minus a7. Okay, m minus n, so 3 minus 7 times d. Okay, a3 is negative 4 minus a7 is 4 equal to 3 minus 7, which is negative 4 times d, equals to negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8 equals negative 4 times d. So d is equal to negative 4 divided by negative 8 divided by negative 4, which is 2. Okay, the common difference is 2. Now when you have you're trying to find the first term, right? If you're trying to find any term in a progression, you just use an equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. This works for any term except for the first term. Why? Because the first term is already in the equation, so you can't just replace an with a1 because it's already part of the equation. So we replace an with any term we have. Okay, we have a3 and we have a7. We can replace it with any one. Okay, let's say I picked a3. Okay, a3 is equal to a1 plus n, which is 3, minus 1 times d. The common difference found in part A is 2. Okay, a3 is negative 4, so negative 4 equals to a1 plus 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So bring 4 to the other side, it becomes a1 is equal to negative 4 minus 4, which is negative 8. And you can try it with a7, you'll get the exact same answer. So first term, a1 is negative 8. Okay, for this question, I explained sigmas in the last quiz, the 6.11. So we do the same rules over here. Okay, we have sigma n m equals 1 times nm minus 2. Now they did not give us a range, so we can't like substitute and solve, so we separate it. Okay, whenever you have an equation, you separate it into sigma of 9m minus sigma of 2. Okay, and then when you have a number multiplied by a variable, you bring the number outside of the sigma, so it becomes n times sigma of n over m equals 1 m, minus, when you have sigma of a constant, we do the number up, which in this case is n, minus the number down, which in this case is m, which they said m is equal to 1, plus 1 times the constant. Okay, so negative 1 plus 1 is 0, so it just becomes n times 2, which is 2n. Okay, and they told us in the question that sigma of m is equal to k, is equal to k times k plus 1 over 2. Okay, now k, we said, is the number on top, so always replace k with the number on top when they give you an equation like this. So replace k, the number on top is n, well, not the number, the variable on top is n, so replace k with n, it becomes n times n plus 1 over 2. Okay, so multiply n times this fraction, it will just become 9m times n plus 1 over 2 minus 2 over n. So whenever you're subtracting two fractions, okay, this is 9n times n plus 1 over 2, and this is 2n over 1. whenever you're subtracting two fractions, you need to have same denominator. So we multiply 2n by 2, so it can have same denominator. We get 9n times n plus 1 over 2 minus 4n over 2. Okay, so we spread out 9n. It becomes 9n squared plus 9n minus 4n over 2. Okay, so 9n minus 4n is 5n. So you get 9n squared plus 5n over 2. In 9n squared and 5n squared, you have one common term, which is n. So you can factor out n from that formula. You get n times 9n plus 5 over 2. Now that we go to the question, they want it in this form, okay? We got n over 2 times 9n plus 5. So they want us to know what b is. If we go to the question, b is the number in the brackets that's alone without a variable, without n. So the number in the so we go to our brackets. The number in the brackets that's alone without n is 5. So b is equal to 5. And then they want us to find c, which in the question c is the number attached to the variable. So the number attached to the variable is n, is 9. So c is equal to 9. Now they want us to find the value of this progression, okay? Value, when they say value, they mean they want the sum, okay? So to find the sum, we use the same equation, n over 2 2a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Now we have the same problem as the question before. We don't know what n is. We don't know how many terms is. We know what the last term is. We know what it's equal to. It's equal to 358. But we don't know the position of the last term. So to find the number of terms, we use the original equation, an equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. And then we replace the 158 into an. The reason we're using the last number is because the n of the last number tells you how many terms there are. If the last number is the 10th number, that means there are 10 numbers in the progression, and so on. a1, which is 7, plus n, what we're trying to find, times d. To find d, you just subtract any two numbers. 16 minus 7 will get you 9. And same with the rest, 34 minus 25, 25 minus 16. The difference is 9. So now we solve. 358 equals 7 plus, spread out the 9. 9n minus 9. You get 7 minus 9 is equal to negative 2. So 358 equals 9n plus negative 2, which is, we bring the negative 2 to the other side, it becomes positive 2. So we get 358 plus 2 equals 9n, which is 360 equals 9n, which 360 divided by 9, n is equal to 40. Okay, so the number of terms is 40. So we go back up to the original equation, which is the sum, the one we're trying to find. We now found out that n is equal to 40. So we do 40 over 2 times a1, which is the first term, which is 7, plus n, which is 40, minus 1 times the difference, which is 9. So 40 over 2 is 20. 2 times 7 is 14. Like I said, you can't type it in directly into calculator. It will give you error because there's too many like divisions and multiplications. It doesn't know which order to go in. So 2 times 7 is 14 plus 40 minus 1 is 39. 39 times 9 is 351. You can put this into calculator. 20 times 14 plus 351 is 7,300, which is the sum. Okay, now we have two arithmetic progressions, okay? The first term of the first arithmetic progression is -5, and the difference is 10. Okay, this is for the first arithmetic progression, which they called A. And in the second arithmetic progression, which they called B, the first term, which I'm going to call B1, is 2, and the difference is 9. Okay, so they want to find the number an, which is, here they called it am. In the equation it's called an, doesn't matter, it's the same thing, it's just a different name. So they want to find an equals to bn. So we draw the equation, okay? An, the equation for an is a1 plus n minus 1 times d, right? Or am, like they called it. We'll just do it like that so it's less confusing. Am equals a1 plus m minus 1 times d. So we substitute, okay? A1, here they told us am equals bm, so we know am is equal to this, so we substitute a1 plus m minus 1 times d equals to bm, which is the same exact thing, except you can change the name of the variable. Bm is equal to also b1 plus m minus 1 times d, so substitute b1 plus m minus 1 times d. Now a1 is -5, they told us in the question, plus m, which is what we're trying to find in part A, minus 1 times d, which in the first one is 10, equals to b1, which is 2, plus m, what we're trying to find, minus 1 times d, which is 9. Now you spread out into the brackets to get rid of them. -5 plus 10m minus 10 is equal to 2 plus 9m minus 9. So -5 plus -10 is going to be -15, so 10m plus -15 equals to 2 plus -9, which is -7, so 9m plus -7. Then we make the constants on one side and the ones with variable on one side. So we bring 9m over to this side and we remove 15 and bring it over to this side. It will be switch sign, 10m minus 9m equals to -7 plus 15, which is 10 minus 9 is 1, so 1m equals to -7 plus 15 is 8. So m is 8. Now they want to find am. We saw from part A, m is equal to 8. So what they really want to find is a8, okay? So to find the value of any term except for a1, we just use the equation a1 plus n minus 1 times d. A1 is of a is -5 plus n is m, which we just replaced it with m, which is 8, minus 1 times difference, which is 10. So -5 plus 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 times 10 is 70. So -5 plus 70 is equal to 65. So a8 is equal to 65. Okay, the first two terms of an arithmetic progression are -7 and 1. Now continued, okay? So an arithmetic progression is just a group of numbers that increase by the same amount every time, right? So to be able to continue it, we just need to know how much it increased by the first time, to find which is the common difference. To find the common difference, you do second number minus first, so 1 minus -7. You get 1 plus 7, which is 8. So the common difference is 8. So we increased by 8 every time. So to go on, we increase by 8. So 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 8 is 17. 17 plus 8 is 25. 25 plus 8 is 33. And then the last number 33 plus 8 is 41. So that's just how you continue in arithmetic progression. Okay, here they want the value of b5. They gave us b4 and they gave us b6. We want to find b5. Okay, to find the number between two things, we just add up b4 plus b6 and divide by 2. So anytime you're trying to find something that's between two things, you just add up the two things and divide them by 2. So b4 is 6 plus b6, which is 32. So 6 plus 32 over 2 is 19. So b5 is equal to 19, like part A says. Now they want the value of b9. They gave us b8, okay? In an arithmetic progression, we know that it increases by the same amount every time. So we can just see what the difference is and just add it so we can get b9. Now we don't know what the difference is, but we can find it. We have b4, we have b5, we have b6, okay? We can use any number subtracted by the number before to get the difference. 19 minus 6 is 13. 32 minus 19 is 13. The difference is 13, okay? So we increased by 13 every time. 58 plus 13 is 71. So b9 is equal to 71. Okay, a conference hall has 4 rows of seats, okay? In word problems, rows stand for n, okay? So if they told us there's 14 rows, okay, 14 rows, that means n is equal to 14, okay? There are 10 seats in the first row. First row yani first n. First n yani a1, okay? First n, first term, a1. So they told us a1 is equal to 10. So now we have that n is equal to 14 and a1 is equal to 10. And they told us there's 88 seats in the last row. So the last term, which there are 14 terms, there are 14 n's, there are 14 terms. So if the first row is 1 and there are 14 terms, that means the last row is going to be 14. So a14 is equal to 88. Okay, each row exceeds the previous one by the same number of seats. Yani it increased by the same amount every time, which means this is an arithmetic progression. Now they want the total number of seats, which is the sum. Sum is equal to n over 2 to a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so n is 14 over 2 times a1, a1 is 10, plus n, which is 14, minus 1 times d. We don't know what the difference is, but we can find it. We have two terms, okay? We can use the equation an equals a1 plus n minus 1 to find d. Because we have n, we have a1, we have an. So we can find d using this equation. Like I said, when you're using this equation, you cannot put a1 into this position. Why? Because a1 is already part of the equation, so you can't put it in twice. So since we can't use a1 as an, we can use a14 as an. So just replace a14 equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. So a14 is 88, a1 is 10, plus n, which is 14, minus 1 times d. Um, 88 is equal to 10 plus 14 times minus 1 is 13, to 13d. Bring 10 to the other side, becomes minus. 88 minus 10 is 78, equals 13d. d is equal to 78 divided by 13, which is 6. So the difference is equal to 6. So now we have the full equation. We can solve for a sum. The sum is equal to 14 over 2, which is 7, times 2 times 10, which is 20, plus 14 minus 1 is 13. 13 times 6 is 78. So 7 times 20 plus 78 is 686. So the sum the sum of the seats is 686. B is an arithmetic progression with first term b1 equals 9, second term b2 equals 17. What is the sum of the first two terms, of the first 20 terms? They want 20 terms, so 20 terms means there is total number of terms is 20, so n is equal to 20. Sn, the equation for sum, is n over 2 times 2a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, n is 20, the total number of terms is 20 over 2 times a1, first term is 9, plus n, 20, minus 1 times d. How do you find the difference? They gave us b1, they gave us b2. These two are consecutive, they're right after each other, so we can just subtract them to find the difference. 17 minus 9 is 8, so the difference is 8. So now we solve. 20 over 2 is 10, times 2 times 9 is 18, plus 20 minus 1 is 19. 19 times 8 is 152. So 10 times 18 plus 152 is 1,700. So the sum is 1,700. Okay, last question is also a word problem. They told us the height increases by 11 centimeters each year. Increases by the same amount each year, which means that the difference, the amount it increases by every year, is 11. In 2008 we're going to take it as A1, okay? Because that's the year they started with. In 2008, which is A1, the height was 5 meters and 15 centimeters. So A1 is 5 meters and 15 centimeters, but we need it in centimeters. 5 meters is, to go from meters to centimeters, you multiply by 100. So 5 meters is 500 centimeters. And don't forget to add in the 15. So 500 centimeters plus 15 centimeters. A1 is equal to 515 centimeters. And it wants the increase in height from 2010 to 2020. Now 2010, if 2008 is A1, that means 2009 is A2, which means 2010 is A3. Okay? So we want to find the height in 2010, which is A3. So we want to find what A3 is. So we use the equation A3 is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 times d. A1 is 515 plus n, which is 3, minus 1, remember n is the small number over here, times d, which is 11. So 515 plus 3 minus 1, which is 2. 2 times 11 is 22. So 515 plus 22 is 537. So A3, which is 2010, the height in 2010 is 537. Now we need to find the height in 2020. If 2010 is A3, then 10 years later is A13, which is 2020 is 10 years later than 2010. So 2020 is A13. So to find what A13 is equal to, we use the equation. A1 is 515, plus n is a small number over here, 13, minus 1 times d, which is 11. So 515 plus 13 minus 1 is 12. So 515 plus 12 times 11 is 132. 132 plus 515 is 647. That is not your final answer. Now we know 813 in A13, which is 2020. The height in 2020 is 647 centimeters. So they want the increase in height from 2010 to 2020. So they want to find out how much it increased from here to here. So to find out how much it increased, we subtract 647 minus 537 is equal to 110 centimeters. So from 2010 to 2020, it increased by 110, which is what the question is asking for. Okay, that was the last question.